All right, all you comic book aficionados out there. Hope you're doing good today. Doing well. Today is March 11th. It's about 3:45, and I'm coming to you from upstairs because comic book room's tore up, and we're working on it tonight. But I've had an amazing week with comics stuff I picked up, a few things I don't know if I've shown yet or not, or anything like that. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend as well as I've had today. It was just a fantastic start to the weekend yesterday with some of the stuff I picked up. If you have me on Instagram and Facebook, you've seen some of the stuff already that I'm going to show today. It's been posted there. I'm Howler Mouse on Instagram. And the last post, the post that I put up today showing some of this Moon Knight stuff I want to show you, I apologize. I was fresh out of a deal, didn't pay a dime for what I want to show you. And I was kind of excited. I was like, let me tell you every little thing that I traded and stuff because I traded a bunch of common comics pretty much, but it's what the seller wanted. Hey, what's up, Eric Breen? Eric Breen is out there. Good to see you, right? So basically, ended up traveling for work on Monday. Stopped at a antique store during my lunch break outside of town. Picked up a few things I'll show today. But the biggest stuff that I want to show, and I may just go ahead and I'll save it to the end. But basically, I ended up stopping at a flea market to say, hey, John, see what's going on, guys. And got a great deal for a few bucks, basically. And then I went back today, talked to two or three people at this little flea market, and I gave him what he wanted. I asked him yesterday. He has this amazing Moon Knight book on the wall, I guess. That I was just sort of like, what are you wanting for that? And I asked him what kind of comics he was looking for, and I gave him what he wanted, right? So first of all, I may have shown these, but here's some dollar pickups just to jump in there and stuff, right? No grade is better than low grade is better than no grade, as Ace Paul Gene Peter used to say, who hopefully will be coming back to YouTube. That's an OG comic guy, right? But I ended up picking up like a coverless copy of Avengers #6 with the debut of the Masters of Evil. Got to tell you, man, I got a soft spot for the Masters of Evil. We haven't seen them in a while, but I always have a soft spot for the bad guys anyway. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, little ink, complete except for the cover, a little beat up and stuff, right? But these things still sell if I wanted to flip this, man. I played around years ago with a Daredevil #2 that was like no cover, and the first page was ripped in half. It was missing half the page, and there's a little bit of an eBay fight for that. That cracked me up. I'm like, really? Coverless comics? So they go a long way. I think this is a Strange Tales number 154. And why did I get this, right? Because it's got a little Jim Steranko there. I mean, we all know of the dozens upon dozens of comic book innovations of storytelling the guy did with such a small amount of work. And then I got the big Thor annual. Indicia is not here, but anyway, I'm pretty sure this is the Thor versus Hulk. Thor versus Hercules clash, as you can see right there. So if you know that, so yeah, some coverless comics. And all the way to the end. So I'm assuming that this thing is complete, right? A lot of great lighting in here today coming from the upstairs. I'm right beside of a window, right? And then I picked this up. I love this cover. I always pick this up. They had 2-3 other issues of this that I may go back and look at because he's selling this for $5 a piece. But like I said, I bought those books and I got those coverless books for $1 a piece. I think I got this for less than $5. But yeah, we got a great Howard the Duck magazine with a painted, I'm going to assume Frank Bruner cover with Man Thing there in the background. And I do miss the days as a kid where Man Thing and Howard the Duck sort of had a connection for being in the same magazines and stuff, written by Steve Gerber, things like that. I think a lot of people kind of have forgotten over the years they had a bit of connection thanks to that creator. Even though they've been in a couple other books. There was some teen book, it seems like in the 90s, that they were a part of, and the book didn't go very far. They had Man Thing where he could talk and he had a walking stick. Go figure, right? So some pickups. I want to surprise you here in just a minute if you watch this channel, but I got to issue a Power Pack number 60. Now, what's very interesting about this is the reason I got this is that it has a parody of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with established aliens, characters from the Marvel Universe, right? Can't remember what they were called. Canaanites. I know that's not wrong, but I'm in the ballpark. But they're this slug-like race of aliens who have very heavy gravity on their planet. With us, they were short, and then their eyes raised up to look slug-like, so they could see around. And a lot of comic book science in this, right? And then they had hard shells on their back, right? And I think they popped up in a Hercules miniseries. I think that's where they came from, because I went ahead and read this book. It's from 1990, number 60. I think about 2 months later or so, give or take, Power Pack was canceled. But they played around with it right here at the top. Teenagers, ? Mutants, ? Ninjas, ? Turtles, ? And they're like, nah, it's not them. But they came from the sewers. Huh. This lighting, I hope this is showing up. Now, I went back and read this, and I hark a lot about modern comics and, not being as well done, if you will, and many reasons why and everything, right? And this was a book that was about to be canceled, written by somebody that is probably a footnote in Marvel history, drawn by somebody who's probably a footnote in Marvel history. And I'm not joking, man. This actually reads, time is very forgiving. Time is very forgiving, because it didn't read that bad compared to comics today. A little book that was about to get canceled. And I'm assuming, since this is 1990, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie was probably coming out, or was out, or may have come out the same month. So they gave it a little wink and a nod there to have a little fun and probably try to get a little sales boost. Maybe, I'm imagining, to save the series, So there you go. Just a fun little book. And here it is. Last week, I think it was last week, I was on here and I was showing off my haul. I was talking about turning 50 and all sorts of things. And then all of a sudden, people started telling me about this little Avengers miniseries that was going on, War Across Time, by Paul Levitz and Alan Davis. Paul Levitz, I'm a Legion of Superheroes guy, as many as you are. I'm sure I'm not alone there and stuff. So to hear that he was over here at Marvel doing a book, this is a guy that had tons of characters to handle and juggle around with the Legion of Superheroes. So I was like, the Avengers will be no problem for him. So I went ahead and got on eBay, found a comic book shop out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. They got the books to me pretty quick. The price was actually decent. They weren't jacked up. And so I can't complain. And I read them last night. I also posted these on Instagram last night. It's 95% action. It takes place right after Avengers number 11, going back to the Silver Age. So with the idea of War Across Time, and it's a miniseries, I'm kind of wondering if they're going to step out of the Silver Age. But it's them fighting a Hulk robot. It's them fighting and taking off. And I mean, it's just action. And it's kind of cool because they still give you editor's notes about issues and things like that. So, and the first thing to do is reference Avengers number 11. Let that put you right where it's supposed to be. I think it's fantastic. If you like action movies, this is the way to go. Eric Breen. Power Pack was better than 85% of comics being published today by the big two. Yes, I agree. And what's funny is I had an issue of Power Pack here and there. They crossed over with the X-Men, more like Massacre. They popped up in an issue of X-Men with Wolverine, things like that. So I had a sample of them. And then I ended up picking up the first 4 issues at a flea market last summer. And I read them. And I'm like, this is good. I was surprised. Talk about missing out at the time. If I'd only known. Age, angst, and hormones coming up and stuff. And I didn't want to read about a bunch of little kids. Little did I know that it was a pretty good book with Louise Simonson. And then I had an issue or 2 with John Bogdanove, I think that's what it is. But anyway, yeah, some good stuff in there. Little gem out there, man. I'm like, am I going to end up starting to try to complete another series? I'm like, yeah, looks that way. But anyway, so as comic book, who was it? Comic Unlimited 666 said on Instagram, hell has frozen over. I have bought current Avengers Marvel books. Not only that, I'm showing them on the channel, right? But there's a loophole, right? It seems like some of the best stuff that Marvel will do will end up having a book that it's in its own little corner over here. Peter David doing the Maestro miniseries. Um, I caught on the Immortal Hulk after people telling me and telling me and telling me. It, of course, was on its own little corner. But, as soon as Marvel realizes that, hey, this is getting big, they're going to pull it over and ruin it. I've also been told that oh God, what was it? Savage Avengers? Is that it? I've been told that was a surprisingly good book. We'll see. But anyway, here's the multiple covers for these. Number one is oversized, an Avengers War Across Time with a great Alan Davis cover. And then we turn around and here's number two. It's a variant cover. I'm not sure who did it. There's shades of Mike McCone on here, but it's the coloring that's throwing me off. Whoever drew this, check out Giant Man there. They know what they're doing. They're leaving room for the colorist to fill in some of the art, if that makes any sense. And I got to tell you, my favorite Iron Man armor is the one where he has the two horns on there on the mask, and that's pretty close. They just raised a little bit. And for you guys who are old Iron Man fans, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the Iron Man roller skates pop up in this. There you go. Not the nose, the roller skates. All right, here we go. Now, this I don't know what the explanation is. I haven't really seen the speculation and the keys pumping this book up, trying to pump up their collections through their YouTube channel and things like that. So this was something that I think was organically happening among fandom, where they started looking back on back issues and stuff to get away from the current stuff that's going on or whatever. I don't know what happened, but I've seen this over the year and a half, 2 years. But it's also, I guess it's the early days of Venom, right? This is the early 90s. I almost want to say this is 92. I think this is Sam Keith pre the Max. But, Venom had been around maybe 5 years, hadn't really been outside of the Spider-Man books too much. But there was like about a 5 or 6 issue run here of Marvel Comics Presents, starting with issue 117, where we had Howard Mackie writing a Venom meets Wolverine story, Sam Keith art. And I picked up the issues that are hard to get is issue 117. I want to say 118. I'm not sure. But one of them has the first appearance of Ravage 2099 written by Stan Lee. There you go. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I found these for $1. Now, what's amazing is the next several books I'm going to show you, these were $1 a piece. And the way the bags made them look, I was like, okay, yeah, they're a little rough shape. Come home, I rebag them, and when I get them out of the bags, I'm amazed, because if I was into grading, these are Gem Mint. I don't know how they did it, but there are no flaws. They've never been cracked open. They're completely flat, glossy, creamy pages, and I just gingerly put them back in the bag because I was like, what? How did this happen? But these next several books are perfect. Perfect. This is maybe the third time this has ever happened where I bought some back issues there in the weirdest places and got home and they were like mint, Gem Mint, very rare. I don't know what the deal is. It's almost like I can imagine a comic book shop owner having the books come in. He's going to put them out, and before he puts them out, he goes through and he finds the most perfect copies to put back in his collection. And then 119. So I now have the full story. That's not a Sam Keith cover, right? But organically, it seems like these books kind of popped. Not on eBay, not online or anything like that, but amongst, I guess, people who liked Venom, who were collectors. I don't know, but they were, especially this 117 there, but for like about a year and a half, I've noticed they like really were selling for some money there on eBay for a while, even though if you look at actual comic book official comic book price guides and things like that, I think this may be in the $20 range. I don't know. I haven't looked it up, but I saw it going for quite a bit of money on eBay there for a while. So I kind of like those things, right? And this is my second copy because I love this tribute that Sam Keith did to, you'll know it, to the John Byrne panel from Dark Phoenix Presents, right before he went up to the Hellfire Club and chopped and sliced up a lot of people. So Wolverine number 99. And this is probably one of those books when I run across it, I'm always going to be picking it up. I don't know. It's just one of those. I've got a handful of books like that I'll just buy over and over when I find them, right? Gem Mint. This is one of those Gem Mints. This next one is Gem Mint. Which makes me happy, but I'm finding these left and right, and I'm looking up because I'm finding the keys. I've got two number ones of this series. It started out as a mini series, then they expanded the mini series, giving it more issues, and then it just turned into an ongoing. And I have two copies of number one. One I bought off the rack that's beat up, and then I found another one that was a little bit beat up, and just to beat around the bush and stuff, right? But it's number 29. It is a key because it's the first comic book appearance of the Scraplets, if you know your Transformers lore, if you will, right? But again, I'm having a big appreciation for these books that I was kind of dodged back in the day. You know what I mean? I go back and I read these now and flip through them and stuff, and much better than I remembered. Again, it could be that effect of this condition of comics today. Compared to that. I enjoyed Power Pack back in the mid to late 90s. Another Power Pack fan here, John C. and Eric Breen, and a little bit of Howler Mouse. Now, I have this actual Hulk comic, right? This is a solid Bronze Age comic. And if you can go back and remember the Hulk or go back and look at trades or anything like that, Roy Thomas, Herb Trimpe, they were sort of in a trap. Every Hulk story is a bit repetitive. I mean, there's just so much that goes on in the desert, you know what I'm saying? But it was Hulk running from the Hulk bouncing around, running from the army, fighting the army. Leader pops up, supervillain pops up, something weird happens, back in the desert, running around. Bruce Banner's walking around in, pants that don't fit anymore, trying to find his way. Oh, God, I love you, Betty. Oh, but your dad hates me. Oh, the Hulk, and he got stuck, right? So Harlan Ellison came in. Harlan Ellison was a lot like Roy Thomas, a lot like Len Wein, a lot like Marv Wolfman, Archie Goodwin. He was one of those guys who grew up reading comics and had like zero shame. You know what I mean? Had no problem with it. He was a fan. And in the late 60s, he was hot. He was probably, it's like you had Truman Capote, and then all of a sudden you had like Harlan Ellison over here for the people who were edgy and in the know and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden he came in and he sort of plotted or outlined. I need to look it up. I need to see exactly how he wrote these. But he gave these, he did an Avengers. He did this Hulk book I want to show you here. And it did a lot of things. And the books are fun because Roy Thomas would have to condense what Harlan Ellison wrote. But in return, he would throw it full of Easter eggs, whereas you read the dialogue and or you read the narrative boxes and things like that. He would work in titles of Harlan Ellison stories into the dialogue or use them as metaphors and similes and descriptions and stuff. So it's an Easter egg hunt. The more you know you more about Harlan Ellison, or if you're just a fan of Harlan Ellison and his work is just in your head, that's why this is fun. So I have the original Hulk comic, but what I have here is the Marvel Superheroes. Again, a book that came out. This one came out in 1980, but it's the Brute the Brute that shouted love at the heart of the atom, which is also a play on a Harlan Ellison story. And Harlan Ellison was genius. After all that repetitive stuff that was going on in the Hulk at the time, Harlan Ellison came in and was like, he did what all great writers do. You stay true to the character and you put them in a situation that's going to create conflict on them because they're just not built for that. It's completely different. Creates tension. So basically what I think happened here is that, if I remember the story right, they actually collected this in the trade. There's a hardback trade where you'll get all the Jarella stories. Harlan Ellison gave the Hulk, not Bruce. He went from Bruce Banner being the victim here and about him, and the Hulk was the character that came in. He made it the Hulk, in my opinion. And the Hulk gets shrunk, and he shrinks down, and he goes into this microverse. With Quantum Mania and stuff going on right now in the theaters and stuff, you should have a clue what I'm talking about if you're not versed in stuff, right? But I think it was like magic. There's some magicians in this sort of fantasy world, and Jarella is the green-skinned, blonde-haired woman of high ranking, if you will. Come on, you can focus. There we go, right? And Hulk, this is Hulk's love. This is the Hulk's lost love. If this was Cerebus, this would be his Jaka, things like that, right? And he comes down, he's fighting giant warthogs, and he's running around in like this forest, trees and alien culture, alien plants, everything like that. But it stayed true to the Hulk and just took him out of nowhere. Took him out of nowhere and put him somewhere. And then all of a sudden, it's just this fantastic story. And like I said, Roy Thomas worked in little Easter eggs to the titles of Harlan Ellison's works and stuff up to this time, right? So this is one of my Jarella is one of my favorite characters, and I was so happy years ago when I would tell people about Jarella and what happened to her and the tragedy and the Hulk's lost love that nobody really touched on too much. The stories are few and far between with what was going on. I was really glad to see that they had collected them into a hardback edition called Heart of the Atom and stuff, right? But anyway, I have a reader's copy now. I don't have to pull out the trade. I don't have to dig out the actual Hulk comic here and stuff, right? But good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well worth doing a little digging and stuff, everything like that. What we got here? Eric Breen, Paul Levitch is a top 3 Marvel writer already. Yeah, he's already blown away most of the people that have wrote for Marvel in the last, we'll say, since 2015. Just, you know why? Because he writes a comic. You know, he serves the story, the characters. It's all action, you know. Hulk Heart of the Atom, Ellison is excellent. Thank you, John C. Yeah. Hey, Paolo's here. I see Jarella, I stay. That's what we have in common, sir. That's what we have in common. Yes. All right. Good to see Paolo here, brother. Oh, that was the cat. It's going to drive me nuts. So to get through these other books, and we'll get to the good stuff, the Moon Knight stuff that I picked up, which is worth waiting on and stuff, right? But I'm starting to get curious about Gen 13 90 comics and stuff, right? But anyway, I got this Gen 13 bootleg. Was a series that, if I understand right, if I remember right, I didn't really pick up too much Gen 13. I have like maybe 1 or 2 issues there. Beautiful artwork, you know, and it was definitely a book of the 90s, if you will, if you go back and look at it and stuff, right? But anyway, they had Gen 13 bootleg where they brought in different creative teams, right? So the one I'm picking up here is by James Robinson, Scott Hampton. I'm hoping that this issue is a one-shot. James Robinson is something I'll pick up anything he writes, because this is the man that brought us the fantastic underrated miniseries, The Golden Age. This takes place in the 50s. You kind of see what happened to the All-Star Squadron cast, and they saved Hitler's brain. That's all I'm saying, right? And then you turn around in here, and as he does Starman, my favorite thing. So right in the midst of this, he was doing some work for Wildstorm, my Wildcats, popping up over here, doing a little Cable at Marvel, keeping a Starman book going, which is required reading, in my opinion, at this time. And then all of a sudden, we have like another little one-shot. So I'll pick up James Robinson books all day long. Yeah. Star Wars Infinities. I had the first issue or 2 when it came out, then they just disappeared. But long story short, it's a series of 4-issue miniseries, if I'm right. This one is for A New Hope. And what Dark Horse did is that one little piece of Star Wars history happens. It's like the butterfly effect. It's the nail in the wheel that changes the course of history, you know? So you get the New Hope, but they change one little piece of history with the characters and stuff. And then you get to see how the movie would have played out just by focusing a little bit more on Princess Leia instead of Princess Leia instead of sorry, that threw me off. The phone rang. Instead of Luke Skywalker, something like that, right? So I have 2 issues. I gotta get 4, and they did A New Hope, they did Empire, they returned the Jedi, and these books were really hot there for a little bit. All right, then the other thing I have here is Dark Horse Comics. This was a series that didn't last very long. I don't know, maybe 15, 25 issues, I don't know. But it kind of replaced Dark Horse Comics Presents, if I remember right. The first issue had had the Predator on the cover, and they had 2-3 little stories going on. And this is when Dark Horse was starting to bring in more new Star Wars characters. Now, the thing about Dark Horse Comics doing Star Wars, if I remember right, whatever they wrote or put out or anything they did, it had to get approval from Lucasfilm. Okay, and supposedly George Lucas actually saw some of the stuff also and everything like that. So I don't know how they do with Marvel now that Disney owns Marvel and Lucasfilm. I don't know who approves what, but back then, you could kind of tell that they at least kept a little bit more of the George Lucas spirit, if you will. That is Lester losing his mind, people. All right, then we got Magnus Robot Fighter, Valiant. I will pick up Valiants with during the Jim Shooter era all day long. But the significance of number 8 here that I have is if you go back and you get like some of the early Valiant books up to like probably issue number 8 or so like that, you need to look inside, see if they have the coupon. The ones with the coupons are worth more money, okay, because they're considered complete. But Jim Shooter was very smart. Lower print runs, and then he would put these like little trading cards inside, attached inside of the book, and at the end of it would be a coupon. I'll just go ahead and show you, right? And then when you collected all the coupons, you would send them in, cut them out, send them in, and you would have the 0 issue mailed to you. So low print run, if you want a complete comic, you got to buy 2 or take that chance. And like when I say how much money the difference is, the value is, I don't know if this is current, but at one point, like this might have been an $8 book. You have the complete coupon, $20 book. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about here, right? So you have the trading cards inside. Okay. And then you come over here to the end, and there's your coupon. Clearly stated. There we go. So, and then I've seen other ones where they're not as colorful and stuff like that. So whenever I run across Valiants, I'm like, And the only Valiants I really like are the Shooter years up to Unity, maybe a month or two after Unity, because Jim Shooter had every series steered toward their big crossover. Bob Hall's Shadow Man is one of the books that I have almost a complete run of, and that went on quite a bit longer after Shooter was pushed out of the company. Valiants, I can't believe it's been like over 30 years since the Valiants came out, and they still hold up, right? And then we're going to do like a little speed shot here. Bam, 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 right? But I picked up some Fantastic Four. I got to tell you, man, when I was a kid, it was Fantastic Fours, Jack Kirby in there, The Thing. And then, what was it, 2010, I had a box or 2 of comics stolen off a U-Haul while I was moving by myself, loading that U-Haul. And they got my Kirby Fantastic Fours, my Hulk run. Yeah, they lucked up. They got the good one. So I've got about 3/4 of a long box built back up of those Hulk Fantastic Four, and luckily I had some doubles and spillage over into other books, so I didn't start from scratch. But this is an era of the 90s were hard on the Fantastic Four. They were very hard on the Fantastic Four, right? But anyway, this is sort of a semi-key because of the Time Variance Police. I don't know how this works, but I think they popped up in Walt Simonson's run of Fantastic Four, and this annual came out at the same time. I mean, we're back to the Gambit appearances. Was it the X-Men or the X-Men annual? Things like that. But I like the Justice Peace character, who I'm assuming that is up there. Justice Peace was a wink and a nod that popped up in the Thor books, who works for the Time Variance Police or whatever, the TVA, what the Time Variance Authority, whatever. But anyway, yeah, because he was based on Judge Dredd. It was like a wink and a nod to Judge Dredd. So that was good. So we have, yes, that annual number 27. And then getting back some of my Walt Simonson Fantastic Four, and picking up probably around the time that I quit the Fantastic Four back in the day. A little Infinity War crossover, returning the new Fantastic Four. Walt Simonson was writing the Fantastic Four, and then he had Art Adams come in for a 2-issue story. I think it was 2-issue story where they had their most popular characters at the time become the Fantastic Four. Only thing you were missing was the Punisher in there, right? So I think it's Tom DeFalco writing right now with Paul Ryan. And then I wasn't even around the Fantastic Four this time, but this is a die-cast cover with a holographic image. Where they sort of had Sue Storm kind of be the lead in the book there for a while, the main focus. Yeah, just filling that up, right? And now I got this, and you take your chances on eBay. I wondered why this was so cheap, but back in 9/11, 2000, 2001, there was two trades that came out, right? And I think one was like mainstream, might have been Marvel. I can't believe I'm going blank on it. And 9/11 had just happened. They had a lot of stuff where the artists came out, and they had a lot of pinups and stuff. And this is put out by Dark Horse, and this is the indie creators, all right? This is people like Don Ostrander. I'm going to tell you here in a minute. They got a lot of great little short stories, and Dean Motor there, Mr. X fame, I believe. Tom DeFalco, Becky Cloonan, Steve Niles, Roger Stern. Seems there's any names here that just really stick out. Tony Millionaire. I mean, these are a lot of indie people in this. Dave McKean, Frank Miller, things like that. But it's little strips, little pinups and things of the artist's reaction, right? And this is the more, like I said, indie artsy one. Well, the thing is that it's cool. I'm not going to get rid of it. I didn't pay very much for it, but it's a library edition. This thing is an ex-library book. So with all my great fortune, I really can't complain. And here's volume 2. This is the one that I was trying to remember, right? It's got a great Alex Ross cover, homaging a great Golden Age book where a little kid was looking at superheroes going, wow. And they had Superman looking at the EMS crews, the police, firemen, and everything. And he's sitting there going, wow. So I have this one also. DC had put it back. Gotcha. Oh, Paulo Costo, Justice Peace worked for clones and Mark Grunwald with ponytails. Yeah, and I'm a big Mark Grunwald fan. I love that they did that. That was fantastic. Oh yeah, I got a few more books. Then we get to the Moon Knight stuff. Wished I had teased you on purpose like that, especially with the story that's coming up. But anyway, picked these up with a bunch of records over here I got. I'm going to spare you the records. Found a bunch of records for $2 a piece when I was there, and I looked over and he had a little stack of comic books, and he threw these in for where I bought some records for $2 a piece, right? But going back to the great Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle, underrated detective comics. Norm Breyfogle really had his own style on Batman. 2 issues, I think Marvel put these out, but when back when Toy Story came out, they came out with 2 issues of this comic book to do the movie adaptation. And when I say adaptation, I mean they really did it. All they did was take stills from the movie and put word balloons on them. So yeah. Well, Toy Story won me over. I was really against computer animation until I went and saw Toy Story and realized the emphasis was on story. And I'm like, that gives it validation. Now I'm probably going to start getting this book. In the mid 2000s, we had 2 cartoons come out. One was the Legion of Superheroes, which season 1 was phenomenal. Season 2, not so much, which is probably why you may not remember it or even knew it existed or haven't thought about it in a while. And then they also had this U2, the band U2 came in and did a theme song. Was it Roger Cruz, an ex-comic book dude who was part of those J. Scott Campbell crew and stuff in the 90s who did Age of Apocalypse, and they had the manga anime influence in their artwork and stuff. Well, he went on to being the lead on everything for this cartoon. It was Batman Strikes. Now, it was just called the Batman on TV, but the comic is the Batman Strikes. And not only is this the first issue, I have no idea if this makes a difference, but this is the Burger King tie-in issue. Okay, so I don't know. I can't remember if you had to go to Burger King and would get your free comic with your Whopper. I don't know, right? But thanks to HBO Max having a huge catalog of a lot of the cartoon straight to DVD adaptions, the Bruce Timm universe, Paul Dini Bruce Timm universe, and all sorts of things, I'm able to go back and I actually own 2 seasons of this, season 4 and 5. But on HBO Max, they have them. They've divided all the episodes towards a 4-ish season run when it was actually 5. So whatever they did, they did. And now that I'm going back and I'm watching it, I think I'm a lot more forgiving of it. It was hard to watch because Batman, the animated series, Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, that one, to me, that was just the tone. That's the perfect Batman. That was the Batman cartoon. And this was a younger Batman. It had more of a 70s feel, a little bit of filmation in there. The New Adventures of Batman and Robin cartoon. They were pulling from something. And it was just lighter in tone. The designs were really out there, especially with the Joker, giving him green dreadlocks and stuff. I've gone back and watched a few of them thanks to HBO Max, and enough time has come by to where it's not that bad. It's all right. It's all right. So I may end up like trying, keep an eye out for the Batman Strikes and stuff, right? And then also a little part of the Hush storyline, Batman 613, Loeb, Lee, and Williams. For you guys that are out there, I have this whole series, but I'll pick up extras. And now here we are. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is something I bought for $12. If you have me on Instagram, you've already seen this, and I was actually pretty cool about it, right? So I stopped at this honey hole, this honey pot, if you will, right? I got to be careful because there are local people who just check in on my channel to see where they can go to storm the comics and stuff, right? But anyway, I had this up on the wall, and I knew I was in for a treat here when he was referring to comic books as magazines. And I was just sort of curious, asking him. I saw it hanging on the wall with some of this other stuff I'm about to show you. And I looked at him and I was like, well, how much do you want this for? How much is this? Because this is like a $125 book. You can probably get it for $30 and up on eBay if you want to go that way, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I wonder what he's going to say. And he went, oh, I'm asking $15 for it. I want to get out of this magazine business. And so help me, I felt like the Emperor from Star Wars being like, good, yes, when he said that. And he said 15. So I opened my wallet up and I was like, I got 12. And I didn't even have to say that. He saw I had 12. And I opened my wallet in front of him. And he's like, that'll do. So I got this for $12, down from 15. And it's Moon Knight #1. And not just a Moon Knight #1, a Moon Knight #1 that is in very good to mint condition. And no, we're not going to do the CGC numbers, right? Now, here's the kicker of this, right? It's not so much I want this stuff. I got this stuff in omnibus. I've got the Moon Knight omnibus and stuff, right? And but the thing is that I have seen this in dollar bins, almost the entire series in dollar bins, going back to the early 90s for sure, all the way up to at least 2018 at Heroes Con, or when did we get 2017 or 2018? I clearly remember seeing this whole run for $1 a piece. But of course, the Moon Knight series comes out on Disney Plus, and we know what the movies and TV shows and the speculators will do and everything to these books to make them go up in price. And I was like, I could kick myself. I should have got it to begin with. Now, I'm not a Moon Knight fan, but I think he has one of the best and most striking costumes in comics. It's Spider-Man, Superman, the iconic costumes, Batman, a little bit of Daredevil. I think Moon Knight is right up there in like the top 10 best comic book, I guess, costumes. But it's a striking image. The whole idea of playing around with the moon, having his cape get caught in the wind and having it be crescent moon shaped, the theme, I really like it. I really like it. The hood. I mean, it's, there's so many characters that have the hood. They've done, his fits. He actually pulls this off better than the Spectre, in my opinion, right? So yeah, $12. Very happy about that. So I'll go back today because there was another booth. I've already showed you some of the comics that I ended up getting at this other booth, had the records. And I walked by the guy and I walked in and I was just sort of like, well, that guy's not here, and the other flea market dude was not there yet, but they all know each other. The guy was going to probably be around noon, so I had an hour to kill. And I just happened to ask the guy with all the Moon Knight stuff, what was he looking for in trade? Because I wasn't about to pay $150 for what he wanted to sell here. And he actually told me. He was like, some Doctor Strange and, some Swamp Thing. Now, this is, again, for the people popping in. I've already posted this on Instagram. I posted this on my Facebook page for Connected, posted this in a little comic book group I'm in, because I was a little excited when I got home, not because of the book, but because of the deal, right? I feel like I was back in the late 80s and early 90s, wheeling and dealing and trading. I'm not exaggerating. There's probably a 10 to 12 year span I can honestly say I never touched my paycheck. when comic books went up from 60 cents to 75 cents to $1, $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, all within 2 years, I was like, that's it. I'm such a cheap ass. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And then that's when I really started my willing and dealing, the Howler hustle, as I got quoted, right? So he actually told me what he wanted. And in that Instagram, I was too thorough. I got something like 22-ish common issues of Swamp Thing, the Martin Pascal years before Alan Moore, and then a bunch of Grant Morrison, Mark Miller books after that. Things I paid 79 cents to $1 for because in comic lots and stuff. I had 2 trades that I got. One trade that I got at Ollie's for $4.99, which was a Batman trade, and it was awful. And then a mildewed copy of Masters of the Universe #1 from Star Comics, Marvel in the 80s. I didn't know that was in there, but it ended up in there. I just gave it to him. And just common books. And I think I can honestly say what I gave him over the years probably cost me $20 to $25 if I was going to be nice, right? Now, did I rip the guy off when I show you what it was? No, I don't think I did. I don't think I'm going to have to be guilty about this because this is exactly what he asked for. I said, what do you want? Oh, and 2 issues of Doctor Strange anyway. But anyway, so he asked for Doctor Strange. He asked for Swamp Thing. And then I brought some trades. A Wonder Woman meets Conan hardback. I got a couple months at a flea market for $2. That was awful. Unreadable. And this is what he wanted. You would have thought it was Christmas when he saw those Swamp Thing books. So I didn't feel bad. So this is what he gave me, and then he threw in a few books. This is what you've been waiting on. Right. But I got this Marvel Spotlight #28 framed. I'm going to go through it. He had 250 on it. Yeah, come on. And then he told me he'd sell to me 150. And then I gave him a bunch of comics of a character he really wanted. And he gave me this. This is Marvel Spotlight #28, 4th appearance of Moon Knight, if you worry about such things. I think after the first appearance, you shouldn't have to worry about it. But anyway, and the first solo Moon Knight story, right? I mean, it's right there in front of me. And the challenge was, it's like I said, I went old school. It's not that I'm so excited to have, I'm appreciative. But it's the fact of the way I got it. I went old school on it, man. I pulled it out like I used to with this stuff like that. Never touched it. Didn't cost me a dime except a bunch of common comics that he wanted. And then he threw these in. That was there, but we got #5 of, I think, volume 3 of Moon Knight, maybe. Definitely some volume 1s here. Number 16 and 17. Great covers. This is what I mean about Moon Knight's look, the visual of Moon Knight. I think it's just one of the most striking poses. And this is definitely volume 3, I think. The Fist of Khonshu. The Fist of Khonshu, excuse me. It's all Egyptian here, right? Number 6 with a great Sienkiewicz cover. He just threw those in. He took everything he had on the walls and was like, you can just have it all. So the other person in the other booth that had the records over here, was finally there. When I was walking down there, he was running by me with those comics, all excited. It's like I brought him Christmas. And he's like, I want to put these in my uncle's booth before people start asking if they're for sale or not. He wanted nobody asking. He was just very excited. He got some Swamp Thing books and was just happy with it, right? So, yeah, he got what he wanted. I asked exactly what he wanted. Able to pull those books out in 20 minutes and get them back to him, right? So, yeah, that's it. That's the best Howler hustle I've done in a while. 2 weeks in a row, I've gotten some good stuff. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm definitely going to be taking this out of the frame. I should just let him keep the frame and stuff, right? And check the bag of it. But you ought to see this thing, man. If you could lay your hands on it and stuff, right? It has like a little rubbing on this corner here, and that's it. I'm looking at the top. I mean, this thing, yeah, and it's a newsstand edition on top of that. I think there's a 30-cent variant or something, which is the one for big bucks or something, or how that works, but this is not that. So, yeah, really, really happy to get that, right? And I'll just go ahead and show you the records from there. Oh, where we're at here. Oh, Jambo Comics is here. Hello, Jambo. Great to see you. Friar Tuck has popped in here, right? So, guys, I'm going to show you the records, and then we're going to call it a day because tomorrow I have got to get up early. And also, we're losing an hour of our life tonight. you know, just like they used to do in The Princess Bride. You've lost an hour of your life. Tell me how it feels, right? So I ended up picking up a few records, and I don't know if this is the 1970s. I don't remember them. I don't know, but I think, some people will be more knowledgeable than I, but I think this is a 1976 sealed Mickey Mouse Club record with all the great Mouseketeer songs on there. There's your Annette Funicello sealed. And then I don't know if you like Genesis or not, but here's the Invisible Touch sealed with the great Land of Confusion on it. Sealed, never opened. Little Rolling Stones, Emotional Rescue, if you know your Stones. And then you're going to laugh at the rest of these. I don't know if my wife actually likes Jerry Reed or if it's just Smokey the Bandit, but she likes the Snowman. This is Eastbound and Down Jerry Reed. That was for her. And then The Soothing Sounds of John Denver, Greatest Hits Volume 1 and Volume 2, or maybe it's the other way around. So I have Annie's song, Leaving on a Jet Plane. And then I have Jolene. I have no shame on getting this Dolly Parton record, but this has Jolene on it. And I get to listen to Jolene on vinyl, and that's exactly how it was meant to be listened to. So with that, guys, thanks for popping in. Be excellent to each other. And tomorrow I will be getting up early. Finish my sentence here. I'll be getting up early because I am driving about an hour, 15 minutes to meet a buddy. And then we're going to be driving down to Winston-Salem. It takes about 2 hours, I think, from where we're meeting. And we're going to a comic book convention in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That runs from 10 to 4, I think. We're just going to have a good time with it, get a little bite to eat. Earlier this week, I went and watched the Tom Petty tribute band on Thursday night, ate with 2 friends. So turning 50, hanging out with friends, doing more. So I just wanted to hurry up and throw this out there, put a little bit more effort into the YouTube. And who knows, man, if everything goes well, who knows? I like the mystery and idea and wonder of like, am I going to find anything? And I wonder what I'll see when I get there. So guys, have an excellent weekend, and be excellent to each other. Later.